In this video, we will integrate Clam AntiVirus with Elasticsearch, and it will be a very similar process to one of our previous videos where we discussed how to integrate WordPress plugins with Elasticsearch. So in this video, I'll just quickly summarize high level what we'll do. We will install Clam AntiVirus on each WordPress server. Clam will scan the server for any viruses, which then produces a log file. We will parse that log file and transform it to a JSON object. We will set up an index in Elasticsearch to consume that JSON object. And then we'll start creating a Kibana data view, which then allows us to create an actual dashboard to visualize our Clam antivirus logs across all the WordPress servers we've installed Clam to. And we'll talk about alerts and email alerts in later episodes. Before we begin, I want to say that if you find these videos helpful, you can support us by pressing like on our videos and subscribing to our channel. If you run into issues following this video, you can leave a comment below. If your issue is more complex, then it is better to send us an email through our website. That way we can exchange emails, exchange logs for troubleshooting, or even set up a virtual meeting to resolve the issues together. So with that said, let's kind of get started. I think I should go to each WordPress server and actually install Clam AntiVirus on it. So I'll just copy these. And I have my terminal windows already open for the two WordPress servers. So I will just create a script. And the reason I'm making a script is just so I can run this all at one shot. All right, and let's just run this. And same thing for the other server. Now I noticed that I do need at least 2 GB of memory to run Clam effectively on these virtual machines. So if we don't have enough memory, I find that we just get some warnings about some libraries weren't able to initialize and such. Okay, I think things should be done on the first server. So let's see what the next step is. Okay, so on each WordPress server, let's just make a directory called Clam Scans because I'm just gonna eventually have Clam output logs to this directory. I'll also put some interesting tools into these directories as well, just like in our original demonstration. Okay, so let's go to our Elasticsearch server because I have some tools that we can copy over. So if we go to our WordPress project or our GitHub project, in here we have this Clam Scans directory. And what I'm going to do is I will send all these files over. I'll explain what they do in a moment. Clam Scans right in there. And we'll put on the second server as well. All right, so let's take a look at what this file does. Should be, first of all, we have an environment file. We just need to make a copy of it. Oh, let me go into the Clam Scans directory. Copy the file to this. And as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Just the connection details for our Elastic instance. And we have this scan.sh file, which is really just a wrapper to the typical Clam scan command, except I have parameterized a few things just so it's easier for me to remember how to run this command. I'm saying that when we run this scan, we're going to recursively scan through this directory. So whatever directory we say we want it to be scanning, right? So we pass in the -d option. And then we're saying the results of the scan, put it as a log file under this directory, which I've just hard coded to the current directory /log/scan.log. And if any infected files are found, put it in the current directory under another directory called the Q directory. Q meaning quarantine in my case. And that's pretty much all this script does, right? It really is just running this, this command. So at this point, it doesn't really do anything that's Elasticsearch related. I'm just running Clam scans to scan whatever I need to scan in the first place. So let's start with that. I'm just gonna scan, and maybe we'll pick the entire, I don't want things to take too long, so I'll just say we'll run a scan on web 1 under the content directory. So that should be pretty quick. It might take a few seconds for it to start up. And while that happens, I'm just going to go over to the second server and do the same thing. Make a copy of the environment file. And maybe I'll do a scan here as well on the var www, let's say web 4, WP content, maybe the uploads directory. And I'll give it a moment. Oh, you can already see the scan happening. Now I know all these are being printed to standard out, but eventually you get the scan summary, and it's this scan summary that now appears in the in this newly created directory called log directory. So if I look in here, there's a scan.log, which then you see the summary here as well. And it's this that we will send over to Elasticsearch. Now, before I can send this over to Elasticsearch, it needs to be parsed and transformed into a JSON object, because that's the notation that Elasticsearch would need to be able to ingest this into an index. And this is where my other file, send.sh, comes in handy. So if we look at send.sh, I'm just doing a lot of fancy, maybe not necessarily fancy, I'm just doing regular expressions to parse that object. So what you can see here is I have the scan.log. I will take that scan.log, and then I'm going to remove anything that's up to and before scan summary. This one is make all the keys, or basically anything before the colon, to be lowercase, and to be lowercase, convert it to underscore notation, put quotes around whatever needs to be quoted, remove quotes around some numbers, add a comma to each line. Basically just converting the whole scan.log file into a JSON format. And then I'm going to add a few additional timestamps, which, let's see. Oh, not timestamps, but I just need to fix some of the numeric values, remove quotations if they're not necessary. And let's see, I need to fix the timestamp. I'm going to create a new field in the JSON object, which is the host name. So whatever server is sending information to Elasticsearch, we should attach the host name. So in this case, if I were to run send.sh, the host name would be WP1. Right? And let's add another timestamp. And that's basically it. Then we just submit everything to the Clam scans index, which means we should create an index with the proper mappings in Clam scans. If I ran this send.sh without having created the Clam scans index in the first place, then Elasticsearch will try to automatically guess what the schema or the mapping should be for Clam scans. And sometimes I don't fully trust Elasticsearch's ability to automatically guess what the schema should be. So we should define it ourselves. And when defining the schema, we basically just need to look at our scan.log file, right? Just know that we need a field called known underscore viruses. It has to be an integer. This one is going to be a string. This one is an integer. I don't know, maybe a string, or maybe we'll just leave it as a float or a decimal. This is a timestamp, etc. So I already have that mapping defined. If we go over to our Elasticsearch server here, go to ES, CD scripts, CD mappings. We have one for Clam scans. This is my suggested mapping for the Clam scans index. So what I can do then is just copy this whole file. Oh, let me maybe go all the way up here. Copy this. And we go over to Kibana. And let's go to Dev Tools and let's create the index. Clam scans. All right, and then let's do the mapping. Clam scans / mapping, like that. Oops, I missed a bracket and I need to close off this space or delete the space. And now let's do this, like that. And I should be able to go to index management and confirm that the index is made with the proper mapping and everything. Good, it's exactly what we wanted. So now that this is set up, we should be able to send this log over simply by just doing .send.sh. And we can also do it from the second server as well, send.sh. And now if we go into indices, we see that we successfully received 2 documents, and we can search in here to confirm that the documents are what we expect. Get clam scans _ search. And there we go. Our scan.logs are now in this inside the clam scans index. So at this point, we might want to create a dashboard to more easily visualize this. And just like the WordPress episode, to create a dashboard, we need a data view to read from this index. Then our dashboards are read off of the data view. So let's go ahead and create that data view. So if I go to Stack Management, go to Kibana Data Views, create data view, and you can see that there's an index here called Clam Scans, and we can basically call our data view the same thing if we want, just to make it easier to remember. Scans, and hopefully it recognizes the time field. It does, and we want to use this timestamp and save. Okay, now that the data view is made, it means that we should be able to also look at it through the Discover tab now. So under here, great. So this is because the Discover tab only works with data views. So you can see here, we've gotten the 2 scans in here. So now we don't have to always use the dev tools to query. We can also use this Discover tab. Let's also upgrade our dashboard. So this is the dashboard we started in a previous episode where we show the results of outdated WordPress plugins. We can go ahead and create another visualization. Let's also make it a table one. This time we'll work from the Clam Scans data view, or we can adjust it from here. So in terms of the rows, I think we want to group by, whoops, maybe I should just pick, oh, there we go. Okay, so let's group by host name. And then in terms of what we're going to show, let's show the last value for the timestamp. There's a timestamp field here. So this will be the scan date, and we'll also list number of viruses found. Let's see. Let's see, scanned files, infected files. Okay, and we can maybe even list the, let's see what else is interesting to show here. Last value, let's say scan directories. There we go, the number of directories scanned. Okay, and maybe we'll edit these columns so that they're easier to read. And this one we'll just say host name. Whoops. Let me go back, top values, host name. We'll list them all, and then, oh, right. I don't want it to group by others, because if there's more than 5, it'll just put them all under others. I'd rather use pagination. So let's turn on pagination over here. And let's continue renaming these columns. Let's see, timestamp, we'll call it, infected files. Yeah, I'll just say infected files like that. That should make it easier. Timestamp, let's edit this. And top 5 value of hostname, we'll just call it hostname. Like this. All right, so let's just go ahead and save this. We'll give this a title. Clam scans. Apply. And let's save this. There we go. So at this point, you could really just stop here and move on to the next step. But for those interested, what I did was I also I exported this dashboard and the data views as JSON objects. So that way I can put those JSON objects in a Git repository, which then I can share with other colleagues. Or if I need to respawn a similar platform like this through Ansible or some other provisioning system. So I'll quickly go through how I would do that. And it's very similar to what we did with the WordPress integration, where we had to export the data views and the dashboard. So let's start with the data view. Let's say we go over to Stack Management and we look at the data views. So first thing we should do is export the data view. And I just know from experience, it's going to be this ID over here. Let's copy that. And if we go to our Elasticsearch server, not this one, this is the one. Okay, so in our scripts directory, again, if we didn't know that the ID was in the URL, we could run this data view list .sh. Oh, and if you wanted to format it nicely, you can use the JQ plugin or the JQ command, and you can see that this is the ID. This is the ID for the data view, and we can export that. Data view get.sh, the ID, and that's what it looks like, just like our WordPress episode. Okay, and let's just save that to our data views directory under the Clam scans file. And now we have the Clam scans data view saved locally. The next thing we need to export is the dashboard. So let's go over to our dashboard again, which is over here, like this. And I know from experience, it's just this ID over here. But if you're not sure, all we have to do is look at the saved objects find. And we need to type in either visualization, dashboard, or search. So we're looking for the type dashboard. Oops. -T, there's none. Dashboard singular, right? So you can see in here, this might be a bit hard to read. So let's format it with JQ. Oops. There we go. So you can see that the ID for this dashboard is somewhere in here. It's pretty large. The reason you see such a large file is because it's storing all the settings of every visualization within that dashboard. Here it is. I think it should be this 20. Oh no, there's actually quite a few dashboards in here. There's Metric Beat and all the other ones we installed from the Beats library. So anyway, there are ways to run the search command to filter out the ones you want. I won't go through that now. I'll just go from experience that this is the ID of the dashboard we want. So I'll copy that and let's export the dashboard. So I do saved objects export, give it the ID. And the type is dashboard. Those are the JSON settings or JSON manifestation or representation of our dashboard. So let's save that to our dashboards directory. And I have this file here called WordPress servers.ndjson. And the reason it's called ndjson as opposed to just JSON is because there's actually two JSON objects in here, right? You can see there's one here and there's another one up here. Okay, so I'll save this. So at this point, it means that I could delete this dashboard. So let's say I delete this, and I could delete the data view. And let's also delete this. So those should be gone now, and I can re-import everything. So to re-import everything, if I go into my setup directory, I have this data views import. So you can see in here, there's an import for Clam scans. We can, and we'll probably need the WordPress data view as well, but I didn't delete it, so I only need to import the Clam scans. So let's make a copy of this. Data views c.sh, and let's also take a look at the dashboards. For importing dashboards, okay, yeah, so it only imports one file. So let me just edit this. I don't want to import anything else. I only want to import Clam scans. So you have to import the data view first before you import the dashboard, because the dashboard depends on the data view. Okay, and then we import the dashboards. And with that, if I hit refresh here, our dashboard should reappear with both widgets here. And our data view, if I hit refresh, you can see that the Clam scans data view is back. So I think that's pretty much it. Oh, actually, I guess I'll remind everyone about one more point. So if you remember, I have this set up step 2.x.sh. So this file here, and this file, you know that it's actually part of an earlier step here. Let's see. How far back? Here it is. And I think I've already said in several episodes that we skipped this step because we want to manually create everything. But you can see now that all this step does, it actually just imports all these saved objects that I've made, including the Clam scans, including the Clam scans data view, the WordPress data view, the dashboard, and quite a few other things. Right? So we're just manually creating everything, and everything I've created, they are now, they will become, or they were available through these scripts. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is for Clam scans integration. So we'll move on to the next video and talk about, let's see, what's the next step? I think the next step would be to talk about installing fail to ban and integrating that with Elasticsearch.